Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an analysis of When I Have Fears, I May Cease to Be by John Keats. For a little bit of background context, John Keats was a poet who infamously died fairly young, and towards the end of his life he wrote many poems about his life and his experiences, mainly about his fears of death and how that impacted himself and his perception of the world around him. This first little section here: when I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain. What does that mean? Well, simply, the speaker fears to die before writing their last poem. They have hundreds upon hundreds of ideas, but they know that due to the circumstances of their life, they may not be able to properly express themselves. It's the fear of lack of expression that really defines John Keats in some of his later works. The next section here: before high-piled books and charactery hold like rich garners the full-ripened grain. That's a little bit more abstract by modern standards, but it effectively means he wants to fill books in the same way that farmers fill storehouses with grain. He has hundreds upon hundreds of ideas, but he knows for a fact, due to his incoming death, that he will not be able to properly express them. Moving on to this next line here: when I behold upon the night-starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance. At times, looking up in the night sky, seeing images of elevated love. He himself and the people around him, the love for the world and people that defined his life, and knowing that he will die soon and not be able to properly express it no matter how hard he tries. Next line: and think that I may never live to trance their shadows with the magic hand of chance. He worries he won't live long enough to translate those images, and they're beyond his control. He has no say in the matter of his life or death. He just has to simply go with the flow and continue living the way that he is living until his inevitable demise. This next section here, Luis, who did all of this, really, he kind of messed up a little bit. This is all one big section. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love. At times he fears not being able to see his loved ones and enjoy the power of their love before his death. The entire poem really is about the perspective that he has before death, trying to make amends with himself and the world around him, but knowing that due to his limited time, he will not be able to accomplish any of the things he truly sets out to. Section 6. Then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone. When considering these fears, he feels isolated and alone as a man standing on an infinite shore with no one around him. He knows that he is dying, and he, as an individual, cannot willingly accept that fact before he's done everything he sets out to. And his final line here: and think to love and fame to nothingness do sink. In these moments, he feels as if fame and love don't matter. Before his untimely demise, he has no idea how he will be able to properly express himself, both in terms of the literature he aims to write and the relationships with people around him. The romanticism of modern life at the time, at least. John Keats is an interesting poet, primarily because of his impending demise and how that impacted the work he wrote. And this entire poem exemplifies that entire concept, that entire idea of not knowing when you will die, but having to accept that it will be soon, making amends with the world around you, and not being able to do everything you want to. Thank you for listening.